This is part 2 of a painting guide for some 15mm old chrome models. In this episode I'll be weathering them, putting some washes on there and finally finishing them. After the airbrushing, I gave these a quick coat of the Games Workshop Purity Seal. This seals in the airbrush paint and gives them a smoother finish that is great for adding washes and other detail to. I'm trying to complete these models as quick as possible, so I've completed the airbrushing. They've had the Purity Seal and now I'm doing a wash with Devil and Mud from Games Workshop. I'm using about a size 2 brush, heavily loaded with the Devil and Mud, and just going into all of the edges and the panel edges on this tank to give it a darker shade. If I make the odd mistake, it's not a big deal. I'm just generally trying to get around the edge of the panels to give them a more of a 3D look when you finally look at the model from a distance. You don't necessarily have to cover every single panel on the model. As long as you get a good coverage on the key areas that you're going to see when you quickly look down at a figure, it'll add to the 3D look. Games Workshop Devil and Mud and Griffin Sepia are both very nice paints to use. They're washes that'll get into all the nooks and crannies on the model. They bring out some definition, and I've gone through bottles and bottles of them over the years, so well worth giving them a try if you haven't already. Because I've sprayed these models with the Games Workshop Purity Seal, which is a varnish which is sort of in between matte and satin, it means the wash is going in there quite smoothly. It's not getting sort of bogged down on any gritty surface. This old Coral Models APC has a really handy door on both sides for your troops to exit, and it also forms some nice panel lines on the side there which are perfect for dropping this Devil and Mud into. Filming at the same time as painting really slows me down, so once I've dropped this model on the desk, once it's finished, I'm on to the next one. I can speed up a bit, and the whole process of panel lining all these 3 vehicles has only taken at most about 20 minutes for the 3 models. With the panel washes all finished, the models already start to look a little bit more defined than they were before, and you can see that Devil and Mud is dried nicely into those turrets around the panels. I now just quickly paint the tracks and wheels in black. Because these tracks are very hidden underneath the armoured casing on the side of these tanks, they're not going to get seen very much from the table, so just one coat of black paint. I use the Tamiya Weathering Master to do the dry brushing along the edges of the panels. It's a bit like a lady's makeup set, which comes in a little case like this. You have to make sure you seal it up every time or they'll dry out. They're kind of waxy and thick, and they come with this very tiny brush which I use in there to collect the weathering material before I put it on. It's quite dusty, but don't worry, that dust can just be blown off. What you're looking for is to get it onto the edging of each panel. The same effect could be achieved if you use dry brushing with a normal lighter coloured sandy paint. However, this Tamiya material is very, very subtle. You can see there as I'm going on, it's starting to bring up the panels nicely without overloading the model with lots of paint. You'll also find that when you do the final spray varnish coat on this model, I'll use the Games Workshop Purity Seal again, it'll actually tone down the effect as well, so you'll get a very subtle result in the end on the panels. Just to repeat again, I'm not after perfection anyway here, because these tanks are just being used in a war game that I'll be playing rather than for showcase standards, so that subtle dry brush effect that's coming off the Tamiya weathering master will do the job for me. The half track's getting exactly the same treatment, with the light brush being pulled over the edges. It has the result of making them come into focus a bit more when you're looking at the model from a distance. That's just about all the shading I'm actually going to do on this vehicle, and you can see it's brought it out quite nicely. The Tamiya weathering master has given the edges some nice definition, and the Devil and Mud has made those panels look a little bit more 3D as well when you look at them from a distance. I'm totally crap at doing decals, but I'm putting this one on here because I think a model of this size, it just adds something to look at and it draws the eye in if you've got a couple of decals on there. I'm using a kind of a bolt gun metal or equivalent pig iron, I think it is, from Privateer Press, to paint on some chips. So first off I just put the actual neat pig iron or bolt gun metal metallic colour on. Once that's on, every chip will get a very fine black line across the top of the actual chip location and a lighter sandy colour along the bottom to give it the look of some definition and depth to it. The finer you can make these lines, the better the actual result will look. The couple I've done on there are actually a bit thick, but this line going on now, as you can see as it goes on, it does look like quite a nice little chip edge. It's not supposed to be realistic really, but from a distance it doesn't look too bad on the model. You can see another one on the side there that I've done, and now I'm doing some Devil and Mud wash as well to dirty up the side of that vehicle. And there again I'm doing some more Games Workshop wash along the side and the wheel and on the chips I've done on the wheels, just to make it look a little bit more realistic and worn and muddy. The final step is just some white dots on various areas. You could really go to town on this, but all I've done is just a few very small white dots on corners and edges. It just brings the definition out again, particularly when you're looking at the model from table height. Once that final detailing is complete, I gave them another spray of the Games Workshop satin varnish, which is called Purity Seal, that just gives them a slight satin finish and brings them together. You can see the chips I've done on the side of those other ones as well are standing out quite nicely, as well as those white dots are bringing in some definition. They don't bear close scrutiny because I've done them quickly for the table, but I think that the result is pretty good in the end. I had some better light on the following day to take some more images of them here, just the final finished result. Final little half track there I'm particularly pleased with, and the muddying up around the side looks like it's battle worn and has been on the road for some time. I could have put some more lighter types of mud staining along the side, but I'm quite happy with the result as it is. Thanks for taking the time to listen through right to the end.